Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, welcome to the show. This is the Millennial Millionaire Podcast, and I am your host, Stephen Cohen. This podcast is focused on bringing some of the wisest minds from across the globe to discuss concepts, strategies, and ideals that will lead them to be top performers in their respective industries and their lives. This show is for the millennials and millennials at heart to transcend their mindset, their health, and their income to the next level. We are so excited to have you on this journey with us. Welcome to the show. Yo, happy new year. Welcome back to the show, everyone. If you're listening to this, watching this right now, we are officially in 2025. First podcast of the year. I have a good buddy of mine, an absolute stud. I have Mr. Cole Aronson. Cole is a EcoShield owner. He's the founder of the Alpha Sales Department. He's done over $90 million in revenue in his business over the last 6 years. He's 26 years old and an absolute monster. Cole, thanks for coming on, dude.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited.
I'm excited, dude. We've known each other for a while, Cole. It's been super cool seeing you grow and develop. Obviously, we're in a similar space into the door-to-door game. For those that don't know who you are, give us a quick little background about who you are, what you're about, and we'll hop into it, dude.
Yeah. Well, I got into door-to-door 2018, so I was 19 in a fraternity here in Las Vegas.
Started young.
Yeah, I was kind of lost. I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go. So I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be, a millionaire. I wanted to find a way to make money and dove into door-to-door sales. My first year was rough. I learned the sales. I learned kind of the whole process and then compounded. And every year I kind of fell in love with the whole process of it all. And now I'm big into sales, personal growth, development. And, I see myself doing this for a really long time.
What originally attracted you to door-to-door? Because probably similar to me, I started when I was a little bit older than you, 23. I'm grateful I did network marketing before that, so I learned a lot about entrepreneurship and personal development. So coming into door-to-door, I felt like I already had a decent mindset. Mm-hmm. But I feel like when people think of door-to-door, they think it's kind of scammy, go get a real job. What originally attracted you into such an amazing industry, as me and you both know?
I was forced into it. I was peer pressured. My best friend, Julio, He was me and him are opposites. I'm a certainty-based guy. He's very variety-based, so he loves risks. And I was working at a golf course. I was making, $8 an hour. I was a Postmates driver making like $4 an hour. So I was desperate to make some money, and he told me like, "Yo, like this sales job, you can make $40,000 in the summer." So I ended up, jumping on kind of like against my will, out of like a let's see what happens kind of thing. And then ever since I fell in love.
I love it, dude. I love it. It's so interesting because similar to you, I heard this quote, I forget where it comes from, but I think a lot of people when they look at door-to-door, they see the grind, they see the unorthodox to the job, but they don't see the growth, they don't see the personal development, they don't see who you can become in the process and ultimately the money that you can make. What do you feel like has been some of your most valuable takeaways, experiences from your last 7-8 years into the sales game?
So I think that door-to-door sales is like entrepreneurship on training wheels. It's literally, and you know this, it's not just sales. It's like you learn how to sell, but you learn how to sell the hardest product because you're going door to door. People don't want your services, or it's so saturated, they've been pitched 4 or 5 times and they're sick of you, and you still have to sell them this product, right? So you master sales, but also you learn leadership. You learn how to manage a team, how to market, how to recruit, how to retain. And then the third step, for me and for you is owning, like learning, profits and losses, learning how to, manage in a way to understand what makes a business profitable. Like I was a college dropout. I lasted half a semester, got C's and B's in school, didn't have a great GPA. And now I have this master's degree, in business from this door-to-door sales job.
What do you think separated you, dude? Because I'm sure, 18 years old, 19 years old, 2018, there's probably a lot of people that started before you, started after you, maybe started that same summer. I know for myself, when I started, there were people way ahead of me. There were people that joined after. What do you think separated you to being where you're at, running the volume, having the revenue? You just bought, a 7-figure home. You just bought a Lamborghini, right? You're crushing it at a really young age. What do you think separated you from all the other people that had a very similar opportunity, but maybe didn't capitalize as well as you did?
I think it all comes from running away from something. This might not be a common answer, but I was running away from who I was in the past. And so I wasn't really running towards anything, but I was running more away from the person I didn't want to be. I was a drunk, party, drug taking frat kid. And I was in a really bad spot mentally. And I decided that I don't want to be in that position anymore. So every morning I woke up, I said, I need to maximize today. And if I don't do that today, then tomorrow I'm going to be the guy I was yesterday. And I'm terrified of that. So I did that for 5 years, which isn't very healthy. The mental David Goggins type mentality was what I was kind of sucked into. But I had this desperate mentality of, I need to be successful. Not that I want to be successful. I need to be successful. So I just sacrificed all the parties for 6 years. I sacrificed the trips, everything, and just really focused on building, this business.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think it's interesting. I think most people feel like they need to be inspired. Hey, I'm not inspired. I don't feel like doing this. Maybe they're not pulled by a vision of the future. Maybe they're not drawn to a big enough why. But I think fear is such an interesting motivator as well. I think not enough people leverage fear of what they don't want to be, who they don't want to be, the lifestyle that they don't want. I remember, similar to you, I remember during the tough times, the challenges, I would always think of the alternative. Okay, I could either go home and quit and go conform and go get a 9-to-5, and then I would extrapolate that out and I think of what's the worst case scenario here? What's the alternative? If I don't make solar work, if I don't make pest work, if I don't make my real estate business work, whatever business avenue, career path that you're going on, like think about what if you don't make that happen? What's the alternative? And letting that fear drive you, I think is super, super important because a lot of people, you're either inspired or you're running away from something, like you said, right? You're either running towards something, you're running away from something. So understanding and getting very clear on who you want to be or who you don't want to be, I think just allows you to have clarity and conviction in where you're trying to go. So glad you brought that up. You talk a lot about personal development and books. And I know, you just went to Tony Robbins. I know that has been a really big impact in your life, especially from an early age, right? 18 years old. Yeah. I imagine you probably didn't come from, maybe an affluent family similar to me. So you had to do some reconditioning. You had to change some beliefs. Talk to me about that, especially for young people out there that maybe are a little bit lost. Maybe they have the desire to be successful, have a nice house, drive nice cars, have a nice lifestyle, but maybe they don't have the right internal programming in order to get there.
Yeah, I think a really important part of that is proximity. Like if I wasn't around the right people, I would be the same people that I was around originally, like my family. And my family's, they're great, but they're blue collar, scarcity minded. Like they're afraid of risks. They're afraid of potential opportunities that could be good. And they think it's not good. And it's a scam. My mom literally said, like, if you do this door-to-door sales job, you're getting kicked out of the house. And so I still did it. I was like, screw it. And so getting the right proximity to kind of see who you want to be and then just copying what they do. So I copied the top guys like Austin and the guys you all know really well. And they were reading books. They were watching podcasts. They were meditating. I remember one day I was going to my buddy Amadeus's room during the summertime, and he had like this meditation affirmations soundtrack on going to sleep. And I was like laughing at him. I was like, this guy's weird. And then later on, I realized like that's the key. So I fell in love with the growth. I fell in love like with the feeling better internally, not just externally. So I kind of healed myself inward first, maximized my growth inward, and then it matched my growth externally. Like the quote, you seldom exceed, or your level of success seldom exceeds your level of personal growth. So I knew I had to grow a lot to grow my money a lot. And that's kind of the battle I'm doing every single year, is trying to, grow both ways.
Yeah, I agree, dude. I love it because it's such an empowering mindset to think I have full control over my external circumstances based on my internal circumstances. Because I think a lot of people, they'll join a door-to-door sales job, or they'll start a business, or they'll move to a new state for a job, and they're overwhelmed by circumstances. Maybe their credit cards are too high. Maybe they don't have the best financial situation. Maybe their relationship sucks, whatever the case is. And I think when you focus on the external, it's more of a forceful trying to change things, where in reality, when you can realize, oh man, everything that I see in my reality right now is a byproduct of the decisions I've made, the thoughts I'm thinking, the emotions I'm feeling, the person that I've become up until this point. You then have the power in order to change that. And I think it's a very empowering feeling versus the alternative is you're a creature of your circumstances versus being a creator of your circumstances. For you, I know someone can look at your success right now, especially in your industry, being so young, crushing at this level. But I think not too many people talk about the challenges. I know myself, there were more times than I can remember that I wanted to quit. I went through the self-doubt. I went through the adversity. Did you ever feel like any type of imposter syndrome?
Yes.
And if so, how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I think when you're transitioning, especially, I don't know your story too well. I would love to know your story as well in the future. But when you're going from who you were to who you want to be, that middle ground is not comfortable for you, but also for everyone around you. So people are trying to suck you into your old self because they're saying that's not you. I used to party a lot, so I had a bunch of friends that party because you're a creature of habit, right? You're product of your environment. So they would reach out to me, hey, let's go out to this club, let's go out party, let's do this, and I'm like, no. And the first I'm like, what the heck? What are you, a loser? Like, come party with us. The next week, no. They're like, you changed, man. Like, you're not the same guy. 3 or 4 weeks later, they stop hitting you up. And now you have no friends. And now you're like, well, where are my friends? And now you want to be sucked back into that friend group, but you have to have the vision strong enough to know that I'm leaving this group to find a new one. And although I'm alone right now, I'll be, welcomed by a bunch of guys successful 5 years from now. And that's where I'm at now. So I think tons of challenges. Imposter syndrome is real. I did not feel like me for a year because you're not you. You are an unborn version of you. So you have to get through the rocky points of who am I? And I asked that question for 3 or 4 years. And I always evolve every year. So my girlfriend has a new boyfriend every year because I'm always trying to find the next version of me, which is exhausting for her, but it's, awesome for me.
No, that's dope, dude. Similar to that, the frame that I hold with imposter syndrome, because I dealt with it as well, especially being young, similar to you, right? I started when I was 23 years old, 24 years old, leading people, leading teams, leading salespeople, which most of them were a lot older than me. There were people that were 60 years old, 50 years old, 40 years old, all the life experience. So you have to drown those conversations out of the worthiness of, can I actually add value to this guy? What do I know? But the frame that I hold that hopefully helps the viewers with imposter syndrome, actually, if you're not having imposter syndrome, it means that you're not doing something right. You should be having imposter syndrome because that means that you're forcing yourself to become someone who you're not, to eventually get comfortable in that situation and have your reality catch up to that new vision, to that new ideal of what you're trying to accomplish. So I would say for those that are going through some type of imposter syndrome, good, just settle in, find your footing, find your ground, act as is. And if you're not, you may want to think about getting out of your comfort zone a little bit.
I freaking love that.
Let's go, dude.
Well said.
I'm curious. So the system, right? You said you're a college dropout. I am as well. You lasted a semester. I lasted a year. I did the fraternity thing for a little bit. When I look at a lot of my buddies who I still am in contact with, some of them, whether they graduated, whether they're going to school for all these different things, it's interesting how many people are settling for a mediocre life. And I really do think that school system, for the most part, at least in America, especially in Vegas, Clark County is not the greatest, but it sets you up for a life of mediocrity because it almost conditions you to be an employee. So when you're tossed out of that environment and you try and do something different, like door-to-door sales or owning your own business or entrepreneurship or really anything that now you have full control over your schedule, you kind of freak out a little bit because you've been conditioned your whole life. Why do you think more people, specifically young people, don't go out there and follow their goals, their dreams? They don't go out there and live the life they want, even though if you ask most of them, they want it, but they're not actually living it.
That's tough. I think it starts with who you're surrounded by first, and it starts with your family. And, years ago, school was a great thing. Maybe before we were born, it was necessity, but now with technology and with the way things are going, it's not as much a necessity. So your parents want you to be secure. They don't want you to be flat on your face homeless. So people are just kind of forced into this mindset. Like I was literally forced to say, have a roof over my head or try a door-to-door sales job I know nothing about, and I still chose door-to-door sales. I only did that because I was a rebel. So I hated being told what to do. So my mom said that. So I said, screw you, Mom. Now I'm going to go for sure. So that's the only reason why I even became this successful person, is ironically because I was hard-headed. But a lot of people respect their parents' opinions. So they're going to listen to them. They're going to appease them because they want their parents to be proud of them and to follow their guide, even though they know it's not the right thing. So my advice would be, if you are listening to someone, or if you're taking advice from someone you don't want to be, stop taking the advice. And that's what I learned, is I stopped taking advice from anybody that I didn't see myself, wanting to replicate. And I only took advice from the success that I wanted to be. And those were all the podcasts I watched. And every single one of them didn't go to school. They were entrepreneurs. They built their own business. They got rejected. So I want to be those guys, not, a firefighter like my dad, or like a bartender like my mom. Like, I didn't want to be that person. So I had to respectfully say, I'm not listening to you.
Yeah. No, I agree, dude. Who do you listen to is so crucial. It's actually something that I have to remind myself with, because it's not even just the who, it's also what. What are you consuming? What content? What are you watching on YouTube? What Netflix shows are you watching? Are you listening to the news unconsciously that's poisoning you with negativity and scarcity and despair? I think monitoring your psyche, your conscious mind, your unconscious mind, from advice from other people who you wouldn't trade places with, but also from all the stimuluses and all the things we're being bogged down with on our phones and television, is literally input in is output out. And if you're not mindful of that, you're going to end up not in a great situation. I think a lot of people know that you need, especially, we're filming this right now, January 2nd. This will probably be out in a couple of weeks, but I think everyone right now is getting fired up, right? This is the time of the year where people are wanting to reinvent themselves, the New Year resolutions, they have these goals. Maybe they're saying, I want to wake up a little bit earlier. I want to start this new job. Cole, what would be your advice when it comes to habits, rituals, and routines? Because I know you're strong. I know you wake up early. I know you have a consistent morning routine. I know you do the things to take care of yourself so you can perform at the highest level. What advice would you be able to give people when it comes to habits, rituals, and routines to actually stick to make an impact of their life in 2025?
I think it still goes down to, why. Like, why are you doing these habits? Why are you doing these things? Are you doing it because you see this aesthetic millionaire on Instagram waking up and doing a cold shower? That's not going to inspire you to do it. Like, you need to know the real truth to why you're doing the things you're doing. And so I think that is, for me, the fear, right, of if I don't do these things, where will I be? And Andrew Huberman talks about that. He says the strongest motivator is not looking forward, but looking backward on who you were. So I would say use that fear. What would it be like if you were the same person you were today for the rest of your life? And that's what I ask myself. So if I don't want to be the same person that I am today the rest of my life, I need to do things I am not wanting to do to change. So every morning I woke up to do a cold shower. I did it because I knew if I did do it, I would be further from the person that I was. And that kind of gave me the incentive to keep doing those things. But another thing is, like, commitments need to be do or die. Like, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Because the second you say you're going to do it and you don't do it, it defeats all confidence and all reason to even say you're going to do anything. So be very, very, be very scarce with commitments you make, and make them every single time and do them every single time. But don't be the guy that says you're going to do something and not do it, because that only crushes your confidence, and it won't help you move forward to have established routines and disciplines.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me this year, is learning how to say no. Because when you say no to certain things, you're saying yes to other things. When you say yes to other things, you're saying no to other things. So I think people need to make sure going into the new year, like you said, follow through with what you say, because if not, you're chipping away on your integrity. How you do one thing is how you do all things. If you say yes to showing up to a meeting and you don't, you're probably saying yes to other things in your relationship that you're not doing, yes in your health that you're not doing, etc. And like you said, the do or die mentality, I think just being able to make a conscious decision and following through with that is a skill set. And I think a lot of people, especially the younger generation, for whatever reason, they don't have that. They're very wishy-washy. Their word doesn't mean as much as it probably should. And I think if people are wanting to have the best 2025 ever, it's just doing the little things, making the little commitments and actually following through, and those actually will turn into the big results long term.
Yeah, let me hit on that too. The little things, it's so important. Like people think they have to do this big, crazy routine to be successful, but you got to start small and build the confidence throughout the little things. Because if you ask me to go run a 26-mile race right now and commit to that, I would have no confidence. I'd be terrified and I'd fail. But if you say, I want to run 26 miles, my first step is running 1 mile and then running 2 miles and then running 3 and then building up to 26. While you're doing that, you're building confidence and you're following through. So if you want to read a book, I never read a book until I was 19 years old or finished one. And I read 1 page of a Kobe Bryant book. It was the Mob Mentality one. It's like a picture book. It's like the words are this big. And I committed to reading 1 page. It took me like literally 3 seconds. And then I gained the confidence, and now I'm reading full books. You know, I probably read like 20, 30 books last year.
It's impressive.
So it's from that building of confidence to where now it's who I am. I am a reader because I built that confidence to be a reader.
Let's touch on the identity part a little bit, because I think that's so important. I think, like you said, at first, because I'm similar, I didn't read my first book until I dropped out of college, because I never correlated reading books with success. I correlated reading books with I'm told to do this and I need to get a good grade on my book report to pass the test. When I learned that leaders are readers, and the most successful people on the planet, not just success in monetary, but success in happiness, success in joy, success in fulfillment, they learn and steal and absorb information from people that have the results they want, and people spend their whole life and write a book about it. So who am I not to want to extract that information? But I think you made a very valid point. I think for me, I didn't identify as a reader. So it was very hard for me to consistently read, because if our identity, our guiding system on how we evaluate through life isn't congruent with the actions we're doing, we're going to find a very, very hard time doing it. That's why when you're trying to quit smoking, for example, and you still have the identity of I'm a smoker, it doesn't matter how many times you quit, how much nicotine gum you try to substitute it with, you're never going to quit until you can break that pattern of you believing that you are a smoker. And I think the same is true when it comes to success, to abundance. Is I used to be a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old college frat star as well. And it wasn't until I reinforced my new story, my new identity with actions of being consistent with the person that I wanted to be. Until then, I finally had the identity as, no, I'm a badass business leader, millennial millionaire. And then crazy enough, the byproduct of that was the actual manifestation of that. Talk to me about identity and what you have done in order to go from that young kid that's trying to find his footing to the world to a young, successful entrepreneur, business leader.
What created that again is the small things. I think it starts with the secret to success for me was knowing where I don't want to be, having a crystal clear vision of where I want to be and who I want to be, and then consistently running away from that while simultaneously running towards this. Because when you have both sides of motivation, you're going to get where you want to go, guaranteed. So I guess what kind of created that identity for me and changing from I am a frat kid, broke loser to, a millionaire, an entrepreneur, or whatever it is, it was doing the habits that correlated and had doing the things that gave me the belief of who I wanted to be. So in order for me to be a successful in the future, I want to be super, super successful, right? I need to do the things that'll get me there so then I can believe that I am that person that I say I am. So if I'm waking up at 12 p.m., I'm not going to be successful. So I'm not successful because I didn't wake up on time. If I wake up at 6 a.m., cold plunge, sauna, gym, read before 9 a.m., I am the person I say I want to be, which is a successful entrepreneur.
Are those your non-negotiables?
Yeah, I have a lot of non-negotiables. So for the past 6 years, I've watched a podcast, I've read a book, I've cold plunged, I've saunaed, I've done meditation, affirmations, gratitude, visualization every single day. But then again, right, I'd be a liar to say every single day. There are days where I sin, right? Where I don't do it perfect. But you can ask my girlfriend, like, that is do or die for me. And the days I don't do those things, like, I feel like inside I die. And that gives me the fuel to then make sure I don't screw up tomorrow. So I never fall off course. So my advice for people that do have that loss of confidence after breaking a habit or commitment is just make sure you don't break it the second day. And if you only break it once, you're never really breaking a habit because you're getting right back on the horse the next day and you'll always be consistent with them. I've never broke a habit twice. It's been one bad day and I'm back on the horse because I know that will get me back on track for where I want to be.
I love it, dude. And I think it's important for people to realize, and maybe it's not cold plunging, maybe it's not sauning. I know we both love those things because it makes us feel good physically, which then turns to make us good feel emotionally, and we can perform at a higher level. But you need these certain habits, you need these certain routines and rituals in your life because I believe the marketplace, when you go out on the workforce or whatever you're trying to accomplish, hopefully your dreams and your goals, you're trying to move closer, like there's going to be a lot of challenges. There's going to be a lot of obstacles. Things are going to get really freaking hard. And if it's not, that means you're probably not on the right path because new devils, new levels, you need to be challenged in order to see what you're made of, to step into that new version of yourself. But you need these certain practices in your life to ground you spiritually, to ground you emotionally, to ground you mentally. So when you have to go try and get that big recruiting meeting, or you have that big, the big conference that you're speaking at, or you have that big competition day on the final day, and it's up to you to go close your 10 pest control accounts, or whatever it is, you can then show up the way you need to because you're spiritually, your cup is filled. When I see people out there that are doing the action, right? They're showing up, they're doing the action, but they're not getting a result. It's probably because somewhere deep down inside, their cup isn't filled. They're not grounded. They don't know why they're doing what they're doing. And it's probably because they're out of whack and their equilibrium is all jacked up because they're not doing the processes to keep them steadfast.
I agree.
So Cole, you've mentored, led, managed hundreds, maybe thousands of salespeople over your career at this point, mostly young people that were in a similar situation as you and me, trying to find something else, trying to break away from the mediocrity that their family probably had. What would you say are common denominators or common factors between the kids, the people, the young professionals that end up coming in and making it versus the ones that don't and fizzle out?
I think it's definitely motivation over discipline is the people that fizzle out. The biggest talkers are the smallest doers. So it's funny, like me and you both hire sales reps all the time. And I hop on calls, like hundreds, probably 400 or 500 calls every single, off season, for an 8-month span. And I can tell, not every time, but I can tell fairly accurately who's going to finish and who's not just based off how that first call is. And I'm not saying that people who are the most confident people are not going to succeed, but the ones that have the simplest answers with the most confidence, in my eyes, are the ones that never do well because they simplify success and they make it sound so easy and they have the confidence thinking it's going to be easy. So I know for a fact when they say, I'm built for this, you're not because you don't know what it takes yet and you think you do. So yeah, I think the difference is humble. If you want to be successful, you got to be humble. You got to be scared. If you're not scared, if you're not nervous before something, you don't care enough about it, which means you're not going to prepare enough to be successful. And so for me, when I was, knocking doors full time, I was nervous every single day knocking. Every day.
It's brutal, dude.
I had the butterflies every single day for 5 years straight. And it's because I cared. And it's because I knew I couldn't leave from 10 a.m. till 9 p.m. I wasn't allowed to leave. No lunches, nothing. Whatever happens that day happens, but I have no choice. So that gave me the nerves, right? So I think being overconfident and simplifying success, I think, is what will kill a salesman. But somebody who is a little scared, humble, and has a clear vision for where they want to go, that's the key to success.
Love that, especially on the doors, dude. The doors it's another animal. And I'm very grateful. This is where I cut my teeth in entrepreneurship because door-to-door for sure is the rawest, purest form of sales out there. Like being able to knock on a stranger's door that doesn't want you on there, that had no intention of making any type of decision, building rapport within, a microsecond and getting them to make a conscious decision to buy whatever you're offering. it's such a valuable skill set. And I think it translates over to so many different things. I mean, you know, I don't know if you and Patty want kids. I definitely want kids, but as soon as they're old enough, dude, I'm getting them into a door-to-door job, you know, 18, 16, 17, just for 2 years, just for a year, because the skills and the person that you become, you talk a lot about humility, and I don't think you could go through door-to-door at a high level and actually be successful without having humility. Because when you're on that person's doorstep, you are less than them in their eyes, right? Obviously, it's your job to create the prize frame where they want, what you have, but like you have to have a sense of humility. And I think it's a good reflection about life. You know, anything that you do, like you said, you should be scared, you should be nervous, because you're out there doing something you're uncomfortable with, and hopefully making that new uncomfort zone your new comfort zone.
Yeah, 100%.
So we talked a lot about team building and leadership, and I think leadership's so important. You know, I'm a big John C. Maxwell guy. I think you are as well. Law of the Lid is one of my favorite things. Your level of effectiveness, your level of success is capped based on your level of income. I think that's equivalent to door to door, but really any industry. Talk to me about what you've learned so far about leadership in your 6-7 year journey in door to door, and some of the most valuable takeaways.
Yeah, there's so many. You know, every year you learn people. So you learn that, you know, managing people is not as black and white as you think. When I first was a manager, my only rule of leading was lead from the front. So go out there, knock doors, sell, and that's it. So I didn't know how to manage people's needs, emotions, treating others different than others, because their love language is this and their love language is this. So as I kind of learned through leadership, you need to treat individuals as individuals and not treat everyone as one big blob of, you know, character. And that's the hardest part with leadership, is understanding what makes somebody fired up and what pisses somebody else off. You can say the same phrase to two people. You say one phrase to one person, that person goes off for a massive day. You say the same phrase to the other person, that person quits the next day. Same words, same tone, same everything. You just need to find what makes people tick, and then use that to their strength for them to actually go out there and produce. So I think learning variety in leadership is the hardest thing. That's why there are no perfect leaders, but the best leaders are really good at reading people and understanding what they need to be motivated and inspired to go and, you know, work more and work harder.
Such a valuable skill set, dude, because I tell our guys this too. It's like, yeah, you want to grow in solar, pest, alarms, whatever, door to door, so you can make a lot of money now. But the skills that you're learning throughout this process, leadership, communication, emotional resilience, consistency, work ethic, unconscious communication, mirror matching, all these things, they're going to serve you so much further than just this 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 year span of your door-to-door career. Like, the skills that you're learning are invaluable. And I think the best people, and this could be not just for our industry, direct sales, but I think for any industry, they come in with the intention of not, hey, I just want to make a paycheck, but hey, I want to become a better person. I want to become a better leader. I want to become a better father, brother, salesperson, communicator. Because when you come in to learn skills and you come in to learn things that will transform your life, you take yourself wherever you go. Doesn't matter if you're going to go to a new job, a new business, if you want to go start a nonprofit, travel the world, create a philanthropy, like whatever you want to do, the skills that you learn during this training wheel of entrepreneurship, like you said, I think will have massive, massive impact on your life. When it comes to outside of the doors, obviously you guys run a summer program, which I love the whole summer model, 4 or 5 months off, the rest of the year off. How do you keep people and yourself in peak state when you're not consistently working? I think it's a little easier for me because we have meetings a couple times a week for the whole year, minus some of the holidays and stuff like that. But for you guys, you have massive intensity and then almost no energy put into the business outside of that. What's some things that you learned in order to keep people consistent and not just have short-term intensity where they fizzle out, waste all their money, and they don't make it back the next summer?
Yeah, I think the model between solar and pest control has its pros and cons for sure. Like solar, you can have that consistency. So there is no variety. There's no you don't need a major strategy shift, but with pest control, it's definitely the opposite. Some are going 100 miles per hour and you're going all in because you know in your head you only have 5 months to make money.
It's finish line.
So it's a lot, I would say, it's a lot easier because they have that. But the con is then you sit on your butt for 7 months to do nothing. So I think the big thing is culture and vision, because these guys who finish the summer, it's not just they finish summer and they wait for the next one. They are inspired to then manage and recruit and build teams. So they're working a lot. Like they're recruiting their teams, they're marketing themselves, they're hopping on phone calls, they're building new relationships, they're training their guys nonstop from January till April. You're training 30, 40 guys at a time if you're a manager, and that's a lot of work. So I think they only really have September till maybe November, and then the rest is work time. And it's all just building their teams, prepping for the summertime, and personal development, making sure you're locked in and becoming a new version of yourself for the next summer.
Talk to me a little bit about recruiting, because I think in any business, recruiting is the lifeblood of an organization. And I think people from the outside looking in on the direct sales industry, when you think of recruiting, you can sometimes tie that to like network marketing and trying to get something from someone. But in reality, the most iconic organizations on the planet recruit. The religions recruit, military recruits, sports teams, professional sports teams recruit, solar, sales, pest control, like all these massive organizations recruit, because what you're doing is you're trying to find other people to share a common vision and goal to expand the mission of the team. How have you been so successful in recruiting, and have you always been that good at it?
Well, the first thing is people need to just grow up and realize, like you were saying, like recruiting is everywhere. And I'll be honest, my first 3 years, I was scared to like even say the word recruit, because instantly people are thinking like, oh, MLM, pyramid scheme. But when they understand, like you were saying, any business needs to grow. Like I got recruited by a Marines guy back in high school, and he was recruiting the hell out of me, like going hard every day. But I didn't see it as bad because it was serving the country. So I was never like, that guy's a scammer. He's trying to, but he was doing the same thing that we're doing. But I saw value in the military, so I didn't think he was trying to get anything from me. That guy might have got a $500 bonus just for signing me. The same as sales reps get a bonus for their teams doing well. So people need to understand the value of what the business is first. So I was always a decent recruiter because I'm passionate. I'm a very passionate guy. But recently I got really good at recruiting because I realized you don't recruit, you attract. And if you can get people to see the life that you live and they want to live it, you don't tell them, hey, you should live this life. They're asking you, how do I live this life? And I just give them the answer, here's my job. So recruiting became easier when I realized that it wasn't about trying to grab and get, like take. Like I was always trying to give people an opportunity, but I was mentally trying to take. So now it's like, if you want to change your life, you know where to go, and I will help you do that. But you need to want it first before I can want it for you. And if you want it, I will get you there.
The frame is so different in that standpoint, because I tell my guys the same thing. I'm like, first, in order to attract people, you need to become attractive. You need to have a bit of a lifestyle upgrade. You need to carry yourself differently. You need to have the conviction. You need to put yourself online and start creating content. It doesn't need to be flashing cars and houses. That's great if you have it, but it could just be talking about motivation, inspiration, share a book that you read, right? Showing your viewers that you are creating a different version of yourself, and hopefully put those red flags out for the people that want that same life. So first and foremost, you need to become attractive, but then it's a different posture. I remember being a rookie in solar and trying to recruit someone similar to you was, I need something for you. Then you go create success, and it's like, you need me more than I need you. And it's a whole different frame. When it comes to culture, you guys do a great job in EcoShield of creating an awesome culture, getting people excited, making it more than just a job or a door-to-door company. You guys create a lifestyle out of it. You also infuse it with personal development, which I think is the cornerstone of sustainability long-term. Talk to me about culture. How important is it, and how do organizations create it at a high level?
Yeah, I can't take, the credit for what EcoShield's done. Like the leaders in EcoShield are insane, from the CEOs to the partners. Like I'm grateful to be a part of it, but culture eats strategy for breakfast. And once you realize that the numbers and the offers and the percentages and all these things that other recruiters trying to recruit my guys on, they're not getting anything. And because culture is just so strong. And culture is not just a hoorah, football team type thing. It's It's the people, the promoting, the vision, the belief. What are you doing on a Saturday night at 12:30 a.m. when your rep calls you asking for advice? Like, that's culture. So it's more than just money and monetary things. It's like I would say culture is a spiritual thing. It's an energy where people can feel that, and they feel this link to you, family link that will not be broken. And I've learned that every year my culture has gotten stronger through brand identity, alpha sales team. I created a brand. I created a new identity, what it means, why it's different, why it's exclusive, why it's special. And now they're not just leaving EcoShield, they're leaving Alpha Sales Department. And people don't want to do that. And so that's why, we've had a lot of recruiters try to cross-recruit guys. And out of 100 plus guys I have managing, not a single one's been taken because of that reason. So I think culture is way more than what we kind of say it is. And it's hard to explain. It's a spiritual thing. So you can't just try it. You have to be it.
You got to feel it.
Yeah.
There's a good quote that reminds me of. It's people will forget what you said, people will forget what you do, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I think when you can create an experience like you guys are doing, and like I think we're doing as well, it's like you said, it's a spiritual thing, and people will be attracted to the opportunity for the money, but they'll stay and be consistent and grow because of the culture and who they're becoming in that experience.
100%.
No, I love it, dude. As we wrap up, I'm curious. So this year specifically, at least from the outside looking in, you've gone through a big lifestyle upgrade. I think you're starting to see the rewards and the fruit of a lot of your labor. You bought your dream car. You have 7 figures in real estate now. Talk to me about that process and what it did for you and just going through it, because I think what happens is similar back to the identity piece that we're talking about. You're grinding, you're working, you're building this thing. And then when you finally get to reward yourself, sometimes there's mixed feelings. I don't know about you. I had mixed feelings as well when you're touching the dream. Tell me about that process, because I think there's some value in there for the viewers.
I love this question, favorite question, because I went through that this year. I always had nice things. I've had the Porsches, the AMGs, the Audis, but I've always wanted a Lambo Urus. Me and you are twins now, and that was a great upgrade. And once I got it, I realized, I don't know why. I told my girlfriend this. I felt richer my first year after my first summer when I was making $200 every 2 weeks. So that was poverty. I wasn't making any money. I felt richer then than I did now this year when I bought a $1.5 million house and a Lambo. And the reason why is because before I never believed I would be successful, and then I became somewhat successful. And now all I look at is other people. Oh, and this guy's younger than me and has 2 of those, or this guy's younger than me and has way bigger house. And I've gone through a comparison thing. And once you meet the goal you thought you'd always get, make you feel happy, for us obsessive entrepreneurs, the reason why we got here is because we're obsessed with growth. And so once we get here, we're never satisfied. And now we're always pushing the line further, which I think cannot be good sometimes. So I went through I'm going through a spiritual cleanse with my girlfriend's help. She's amazing. She literally is the reason I'm here. She humbles me in all ways. Without her, I would not be here for sure. And, I've learned to not compare, because if I'm 26 with a $1.5 million house, living in a gated community on a golf course, looking over the golf course in my Lambo, with $100,000 put away, saved, invested, and I'm still not successful, then I'm mentally ill. And I still want more for myself, but I'm not going to attach my level of self-worth to my net worth, because that line will always be moving, and I will never be happy that way. So it's definitely been a learning process for sure.
Dude, so powerful, and I can relate. It's crazy. I mean, we're in the social media age where everyone throws their highlight reels on social media, and to your point, for a really long time as well, and I think I'm still going at it as well, you put so much energy into your business, into your life work, into building, and your identity gets wrapped up into there. Your joy gets wrapped up into there, where your level of joy and happiness sometimes is correlated to how much revenue you created, or that bank account, or how you feel like other people perceive you, and it's not healthy. Tony Robbins has a great quote. He says that success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. You get all the things that you want, and then you look up and the pleasure's cool, and then you're like, man, I'm not happy. And I don't think that's the case for us, because I believe that we tie our progress to our happiness and our happiness to our progress. The more we're growing, the happier we are, the more we're growing. But that comparison thing, dude, I mean, short-term comparison can sometimes be beneficial, but long-term comparison is always detrimental. So making sure, and a good reminder, to stay in your lane, to be grateful for what you have, to not compare yourself to an ideal or to external things, but instead compare yourself to who you used to be. That's really where I think a lot of people can drive happiness and not get so lost in the sauce of this comparison, social media, highlight reel culture.
100%.
I love it, dude. In closing, Cole, you've been amazing. I appreciate you getting on. My last question for you is, if you could go back in time, the Cole today, driving the Urus, $1.5 million house, running, a 9-figure revenue sales organization, can go back to the 18-year-old Cole who was self-deprivating, low self-esteem, trying to figure out where he lives in the world, what advice would today's Cole tell past Cole?
Oof. I mean, I would say take the risk. Whatever vision you have for yourself, just know the decision you make is not going to be comfortable. And the more uncomfortable the decision that you make is, the more you're going to reap the rewards years down the road. So the more scared, anxious, nervous you get for something you should do it, because that will give you more rewards than finding something just a little scary or a little more risky. Jump all the way in. Take the risk. And if you're at a low point in your life, you're already low. They don't call it rock bottom, they call it rock foundation, right? So you can build your way up. So I think having that mindset of the riskier, the better. As long as there's good culture, there's good vision, there's good, backing to it, go all the way in that vehicle and try to maximize it as best you can. And if you can do that, then you'll end up being where, I guess, we are in a few years from now. Dude,
well said. I love it, dude. You're an inspiration to a lot of people out there. Keep doing your thing. Where can people get connected with you if they want to connect?
My username is @Cole Aronson, so ColeAronson. And then I have TikTok, same username. And then I have an Instagram page for my sales department. It's 87alpha60. And that is where you can find all things sales with my sales organization.
Love it, dude. Thanks for coming on.
Of course. Appreciate it.
Guys, we'll see you on the next episode. Happy New Year. Keep crushing. We'll see you in 2025.